fashion doll lovers, I am just Christopher y bienvenidos to my channel. As you can see, we have a guest today because I felt that although I had shared my thoughts on the event, which I'm going to insert somewhere over here actually, I felt like it would have been more entertaining to bring someone else along and have someone else's opinion on camera. Also, I wanted to state now, before we go any further in this conversation, that if you wanted a video with photos and where we discuss every doll into detail, or just my opinions on each doll, then go back to the link again, because in this video, there will be no photos. Just so you know right now, this is going to be, consider this more like a podcast setting with two people, where we're just kind of having a conversation and inviting you in, because the reality is, we don't want to go through the photos. I just don't want to do it.
I cannot with you.
To be completely honest. So, with all that kind of been said and laid out, we didn't discuss how we're going to start this. So, because I had already placed out my opinions into the universe of the internet, I'm going to let you go first. Have fun.
Go first with what?
I'm going to need, you to tell us your overall feeling. How did it start? How did you feel? What was good? What was okay? We're not going to say anything that's bad because we're just not those people. We're just going to say
never that people.
What was it? So, well, I don't know about never being those people. I'm still human.
No, not never. Well,
yeah, I'm still human. This feeling.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start with the. What was it? The black and white tone poppy.
We love poppy.
We love poppy. So for me personally, I thought she was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the new skin tone to me, I felt like it was really fresh.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we don't get very often. But yeah, it's poppy. I'm not a true fan of poppy. Like, I like her. I love her face. I love how most of us in the community have upgraded her body to make her more modern and make her new face, or if her makeup and her hairstyle draws for that type of transformation. So for me personally, I was like, oh, this is cute, this is beautiful, but not my money.
And I think also with that being said, where you were just some people do take poppy and change her body to fit the lines that they like and blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I think what needs to also be said about poppy, as I'm zoned out and not looking straight at the camera, is there are moments she works in other lines,
mm-hmm.
and there are moments that collectors see her potential and are interchanging her body. But the reality is, she doesn't always work. And I think it's important also, as I kind of referenced in my last video, that I think a lot of the generation that has access to YouTube or access to Instagram, she's not really our aesthetic. So I feel like a lot of times we forget that just because you hear people say something, it doesn't mean that actually equates to numbers.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we get so consumed with thinking, well, I'm hearing all these people that have access to all these things say that they don't like her. And it's yes, but just because someone's loud, it doesn't mean that they're the majority.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, whoever's the loudest is usually isolated.
Yeah.
That's why they loud. Because, well, they want to be seen and heard. So, I agree, and I mentioned that in my video too, one of some of my thoughts, where I was like, I thought it was a fresh take. I thought it was a really cute introduction. I thought it really gave a vibe to what the event was going to be. But again, it wasn't my cup of tea, so I was able to be cute. Next.
Yeah, pretty much. So our next lineup is who again? Was it the E69 girls?
It is. But I mean, because this is more like a conversation, we don't have to go through all of them.
Oh, okay. So how about we just discuss all the poppies at the same time then?
Have fun.
Yeah. So Miss Galaxy Poppy, forgive me if I don't remember her specific title, because for me personally, when it comes to the emails and if I don't like a doll, I'm not going to read anything.
You really don't.
If it's not something I want or like from the jump, from the get-go, I'm not going to read a thing.
He doesn't.
It's unnecessary. Why would I read up on a doll that I don't want or like?
So, here's the funny thing. Maybe I'm nosy. There are moments when an email comes in and we're on the phone and I'm reading it and he goes oh, it said that? I didn't even look at it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it was
What's
there.
the point?
I just need to know sometimes.
Yeah, you you're clearly the online person, so yeah, you do what you gotta do, but I do not give one. Yeah, right. So I thought that the pink skin tone was beautiful. I loved her contrasting hair color. I loved her outfit. But again, Poppy. I don't do Poppy bodies. And I felt like personally it would have been really cute if those of us who like to rebody Poppy, because I know that the company knows that we do this, if they had like added an extra, oh, here's a body in a pink tone that you would probably want to switch her to. Here's an East 59 body. Here's a Fashion Royalty body. Here's a New Face body in the same skin tone. That would have been a really good selling point for them. So I personally feel like they are gonna miss out a little bit on what I feel like personally could have been a little bit more money into this side of the company, because again, not all of us like Poppy, specifically because of her body, or at least that's my personal take on that.
Well,
I just don't like her body.
I was gonna say, when you was like, they would have made a little extra money. They would have made a little extra of your money. Because the reality is they're still making money with her, which is, again, why she's been such a topic of conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
When we start looking at her audition numbers, they keep on rising. And it's one of those things, again, I say, where her community, because she got a community, they just don't talk. They just buy, they collect, and they move on. So she's popping. And also, and I remember telling you in particular, I was like, as an alien, why would you want to change her body? She's an alien. Like, aliens are assumed to be weird people.
Just a little more context on the change body part. He really needs it. The bodies don't need to actually match the skin tone. Which would be a really cute idea to have like different color shades, body parts on her, because it really would add more to the alien vibe.
Yeah.
But I'm anal.
Yeah, you are. And the more I think about it, the reason why I think those two poppies in particular stood out so much is because it was a fresh take that we had never seen her in.
Yeah.
But also, now that we're like having, this is why conversations are important, because they usually like prompts up other things. I was like, it'd be cool. I think it'd be cute. You don't have to agree with me, okay? I think it'd be cute or cool to say or have, like, let's say, a new face alien series where we get a new face in a green or in a gray or in a pink, just for fun. Okay? Just like a random, hey, it's like a ghouls, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
I've never been a Monster High person, so that was like, is that what they call that?
Yeah.
And not to say that it needs to be Monster High inspired, but I think because they've introduced now Poppy in those two colors, I think it'd be cute to see what can be done with New Face. And I say New Face in particular because I feel like they're younger, so it'd be a little bit of a fresher take.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it could be a story or a collection that can tell something with them being...
Oh, it could be kind of like an extension of like New Fantasy.
Correct!
Yeah.
And again, it's not something that I'm like gun-ho about because I personally don't care for colored skin dolls. I say that as I have grayscale ones.
Just to be clear, he's talking about the fantasy color skin, not actual human skin.
Right.
Just to be very clear, because
Right.
we know how some people can like, yeah.
Fantasy colored skin, correct. But I feel like I would, if I'm in a place that I could buy it, and if it's a good story, I would probably get the collection, and it could be a collection that I just look at. And it might be the only collection I don't play with, because I think it's a cute idea. It might be a great display piece. And it's something that I only now thought about because we've now been presented with two poppies with fantasy skin tones. I'm like, oh, well, the idea is cute, and I've always loved it when Barbie's done it. You know, I don't get paid by no one, so I can mention people's names. But yeah, so throwing that out there because they've just introduced. I think they just introduced that. Correct me if I'm wrong if it's ever been done before. But we've been seeing fantasy hair, but I don't see if we've seen fantasy skin.
Not very often. Yeah, from my collecting and also what I've seen on the internet before collecting, I've never actually seen a fantasy skin tone.
Correct, because Kyle, technically, we've been club members for the same amount of years, but you had been researching it further than I had. Yeah, I was introduced to the
3 years before I've been researching.
Correct. So I was introduced to the brand online, but Kyle gave me more information. So Kyle has more knowledge on the archives than I do. I hope that was dust you spinning, and
it
not
was not dust. It was a whole actual
person.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
So you look at that. We've derailed into the fantasy because, honestly, talking about going back to the event, to me, the two fantasy poppies, although I don't collect her, were my standouts. If I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
I don't collect her, but I think the two fantasy poppies really brought in the theme. They really sold the concept, and they were standout pieces. And I can say that even as someone who wouldn't collect her, like I can appreciate. There goes the person again.
Yeah.
I can say that, like both of them were to me the standouts of the week.
I agree. And then of course, the last poppy. I again don't know her name. She was from what, in 1966?
Still 1966.
So
we just gonna let the fly be a fly.
So, let's just be very clear that I will never shame a designer for what they create.
Never say never.
Because I'm gonna block you. I will never, again, I say that. I don't believe in the whole shaming a designer and their work just because I don't like something. It's never a good idea to be that kind of negative on the internet because, again, we're seeing these things and there's no context behind them. We are just expressing ourselves with just these black and white words, and we're just venting how we feel, but there are ways to do that without being harsh or without, being the whole, this is how I feel, you're going to take kind of vibe that the internet has. No, it's never a good idea to ever bash a designer. You don't know the work that they put into something. You don't know how much pushback they get from what they want versus what you see. There's a lot that goes into it that we don't know. So we can only ever speak from our perspective. Fine. But you can do that without being a complete douchebag. But personally, this last poppy I felt was kind of lazy. Only on the grounds of, one, she's in her era. That was boring. Two, that screening has been done so many times before, and that hairstyle has been done so many, let's not say so many, but she has been done before. The screening and the hairstyle together was not fresh, it was not new, it was done already. Because I saw so many people on Instagram showing each square of the same poppy, basically, like 3 different versions, and they all just equal to the same doll, or there were 2 things that were exactly the same and they put it on the same doll that was supposed to be refreshed. I'm like, again, I'm not a fan of Poppy, but this was like a really, I felt like the era should not have been hers, specifically because she's already from that era. So it was kind of, okay, next.
And even with that, as I hear you talking, I'm like, cool, stay in your era if you want to, but then do what you did with Galaxy and We Love Poppy. And take a twist on it that you haven't done before. Because I think, at the end of the day, the We Love Poppy and the Galaxy were still in her era, but because she was done in a fantasy skin tone, it was refreshing. And I think with the third Poppy, it just didn't work, honestly, because it's just basic on her end. And if we're going to be taking inspiration from a TV show, I feel like maybe we should have focused on a more iconic look, or a look that everyone... Because the suit also that she was wearing, I feel like it's very poppy. Like, I feel like we've seen that before. And I would have loved if there was a reference to a more iconic outfit that person might have worn in that show that isn't an outfit we see regularly Poppy wearing. Or even a hairstyle. Because at the end of the day, it is based on the TV show, and I'm sure the character had more than one iconic look. And a part of me is like, if that was the one only, I doubt it. Like, I doubt that plaid flipped bob was the only iconic look that character had.
No, I doubt it. And of course, it probably would have made a huge difference if it wasn't Poppy specifically. Like one of her friends could have been a cute moment too. Just saying, just saying. Poppy has so many friends. I don't know
she
what.
now at this point?
I mean, at this point, it looks like she just told them we can't work anymore because it's all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The basic me, not even the hardworking
Yeah.
me. The basic me,
Mm.
the one that just doesn't even try to show up, and she shows up.
And just to piggyback from what Christopher said in his last video, again, link down below.
Or above.
It would be great if Poppy had her own show so that we don't see her in every club here.
Yeah, and someone left a comment on my last video who is a Poppy collector, and I appreciate them understanding that is no hate towards the brand.
Yeah.
It's just not an interest. And they said that they joined the W Club for Poppy exclusively, and that if there was ever to be a Poppy club, then they would join that too, because at the end of the day, that's who they joined for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I assume they're in line. We've reached the point where the brands have fan bases, not just the company.
Yeah.
And that might be the bridge or the transition that we're currently facing, is that the W Club was placed as a fan club for the company. And this might sound like too much work, and there might not be money for this in a budget, because you have to hire someone to do it. I'm starting to feel like there might need to be separation, where each line has its own fan club, and maybe that way you as a company, if you're watching, I hope you're watching. I hope you are. Maybe you would have more direct clarity as to what lines are doing what they should be or what you would like them to do, because then you have an exclusive club. Now, again, this is an assumption. I've never done this, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. But I think at this point it'd be cute to just be a member of the clubs that I like.
Yeah, that'd be really cute.
Now, if we had a year like this year, and I'm in the new face and fashion royalty club, and I've had nothing, and we are now in December, I don't know how I would feel about that. You know? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they think they're surviving because it's all under the W Club, and they're like, oh, we're emailing you all these dolls, and it's like, but it's all been Poppy dolls. Yeah. And when you're a member of the club, you're a member for various lines, not just one line. And just think it might be time to investigate if it's needed to separate, because some of us just don't want to see her as much. And as I mentioned in my last video, clearly they listened, and Elise is on vacation, so maybe Poppy needs her own group, because we definitely was like, Elise needs a moment, Elise needs to go away, and here we are. We had a convention and there was no Elise, so technically we've been hurt. Just saying.
So just like Christopher said earlier, there clearly is a whole group of people who love Poppy, but they don't exist on Instagram, or not all of them do, because he likes to be in the forums. I do not. I think it's the ghetto, but it is what it is.
I tiptoe into the forum. I don't live there per se, but I do like going there, because the forum in a way is like an Integrity Toys vlog, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So on the forum, I'm going to get people's assumptions or people's hopes, and a lot of the times my creative self likes to hear what other people are thinking, and if it's in line with what I'm thinking, and I think it's fun. I think that's, as I said in the last video, what I loved about the event was the action on the forum. Because I feel like this event really highlighted the power of the forum with the guessing and the assumptions and the predictions. And that is fun when you're not able to be around people. But it's not everything.
Yeah. So that just adds to the fact that it's very clear that once a specific brand shows up every single time, that that brand is actually making the most money. Or the biggest assumption there is exactly that. Because,
Or when you read emails for a brand you don't like and realize that her edition size is bigger than other people's is another confirmation
that too.
that she's obviously making money because they're
That
actually
too.
producing more.
That
and
too.
they even have edition. Okay. Piggyback off of that. Have you noticed that usually when there's a Poppy email, there's an edition size? And
Yeah.
have you noticed that when there's other lines, it just says deposit or pre-order, but a lot of times there's no edition size?
Yeah, because those ones are to be determined. That's based off of how many people go after those ones. And you see what's happening there, don't you?
Also, have you noticed that if you go on the Integrity Toys website after a doll has been released, who's still left in the store? Or better yet, who's not available at the Integrity Toys website after their release?
Yup. Those little breadcrumbs there you could follow. Yeah. Do your own research. You can see it.
Because, you know, there were East 59th Street dolls on the website for a while. There were Meteor dolls. The most recent... Ooh, the drink is not doing what it needs to do. The most recent Anique. And was Diablo there for a bit? I don't remember if it was there. I know Anique was.
I don't remember him actually ever being there. I remember Anique.
There you go. So,
Yeah.
you know, tells you something. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is, I don't think I've even seen some Monarchs, if I'm not mistaken. But have you ever seen Poppy? No. I've seen Poppy fashion packs, which is another reason why they keep on telling you, like,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
they don't want to do fashion packs that don't
That's
sell.
true.
And look at that. Poppy, a brand that sells well for them, she still have fashion packs left over. Although, I will say, that's not what I wanted to say. I will say that the particular fashion pack that was still available on the website was the only one I liked because it looked like it was from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why I didn't sell, because people from that line like buying her in that era that she's in, and that outfit was not a part of her era. Something. And like, although I liked it, I don't purchase Poppy stuff anymore because I know it doesn't really fit anybody that I have. Like, there's a slim chance it might fit a new face, but that's a chance. And I've tried those chances before, and I'm not interested in trying them now. Just saying.
And you're safer with boots than you are with shoes because, well, the boots cover up everything. So it makes no sense you're buying it if you don't intend to put it on a Poppy body. It's a reach to do anything other than that.
A reach.
Yeah.
It's a reach.
Yeah.
It's a reach. So yeah, as you noticed, most of this event has been a Poppy. Most of this conversation this far, which I don't have a timer, so I don't even know how long we've been on this camera, has been about Poppy. She has controlled, demanded,
Dominated.
there you go, that's the word I was looking for, but it wasn't coming out. The year of 2022. And I feel like if we look at our years as collectors, our first convention was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And our tote bag was Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Style Lab that year was Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2020 came, and we had an online convention. And the Style Lab was Fashion Royalty. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But Poppy still had a lot of moments. Oh, talking about convention and Poppy, it just came to me. How is it that when you go to convention, the Poppy dinner or luncheon always seems to have the most things going on? Is that just me? Did I make that up because I don't like her right now? Because I feel like when we go to, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's a different vibe when you're at a Poppy dinner.
So again, shows you how much is invested in
By the way,
this
it's just
girl.
one convention, okay? This is based on, we only went to one in person. Everything else was online for us. But we're very thankful we were able to experience one. Because it gives us the retrospect of being able to like, be like, well, we went to one. It was great. People loved that convention. It was a good one.
Yeah.
And it really helps to kind of be like, well, this is where this online isn't working because we've experienced it in person. But as I was saying, She constantly, if you look at the breadcrumbs throughout the years, she's still been dominating one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that year was her year. That's why she was the Style Lab. And that's why we had a tote bag.
That's correct.
But then I feel like 2021 also became her year somehow.
2021 was her year as well. She became the Style Lab again.
Yes, because those are the fashion packs that were still available.
Yeah. And hence why I sometimes mix up those 2 years. Because I was like, oh, wait, who? What?
We went from having her Style Lab to then getting fashion royalties and having her again.
Yeah.
Then we forget there was so many other lines. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Because I probably am wrong. When's the last time we've had a new face Style Lab? I know there's been an industry Style Lab, but when has there been a new face Style Lab?
If there was ever one, it was clearly before we started collecting. Because I can't tell you. And a reach. Be great if we had like a Monarch Style Lab too.
Nah, that's a reach. That's why I didn't mention them. Because that's a reach.
Yeah.
But in the new face, you could add now 2 boys. Which is why I mentioned Monarch was a reach and I wasn't going to make that for a Style Lab. But I feel like with new face as a Style Lab, I can at least get 2 boys. Because now there's 2 boys, right? 2? There's officially
2 boys,
Lucas
yes.
and Diego.
Lucas and Diego.
Hi, Integrity Toys. I hope you're watching. You should call me. I got a lot of ideas. And I'm available. Because, yeah. Just saying.
Oh, and I'm a fashion designer. Just let you guys know that if you need some new fresh talent, I'm available.
I'm not that, but
yeah.
And
we work very well together.
We do that.
See, we're already a team.
I do run my mouth on other stuff.
Let's not. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you can see, we were left. We were simply left unbothered, is what I would say. That is the best way, because we were annoyed, yes, but it wasn't enough to throw us off a wagon.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was just telling Kyle, as of when we're filming this video, there's 24 hours to put in your deposit for whoever you want. Kyle and I had kind of gone back and forth on a particular doll. And today I decided that I do not want to go after her. Let me explain why. As you hear the ratchetness, I'm sure that's coming from the behind the scenes outside, but I hope it's low enough. Kyle and I usually have this thing now where if we have a gut feeling from the moment, then there's no question. But if we have to analyze, break down, compare, and discuss,
essentially talk ourselves into it,
it's a no. And I really had to take a look at where I'm at currently in life. And really had to be like, am I getting this because I want more than the one that I liked? Or do I let this go because there's so many question marks and I wait for something I really love? Because I'm also in a place lately that I'm interested in investing in what brings me more joy than to having quantity. It's all about quality. Yeah. And I've been saying this a lot, either in my videos or even in the comments, and even on Instagram for the people that I've spoken to, where it's like, I'm actually thankful that the year has been so slow on things that I've liked, because it's really allowed me to make content on Instagram with dolls I've already had that I kept because I loved. And I feel like that's another thing that we need to learn as a community, is that it's really not important to constantly go get. A lot of the times it's important to reflect and enjoy. If you had a connection with something, it's better to enjoy what you had a connection with than constantly be seeking something new. Because something new isn't going to cover any hard feelings, boo-boo. Let me just tell you something. You could put a band-aid, you could sweep under the rug, but it's still there.
That part.
Just saying. So, with all that being said, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to blame it on the wine.
Sure.
Because what I was saying was, now that I came back, is it's not important to feel like you need to get something all the time because something's out. And you will have so much more fulfillment if you really stick to what you love.
Yeah.
And looking back at the year, I loved Tobias. I had no questions when I saw him, and I'm very excited to get him whenever he arrives.
Same.
And I'm in a position where I prefer to have one thing that I love than to feel like there was 5 things that I missed. And I said that in my last video as well, and I'm gonna reiterate that again. It always feels more fulfilling when something is actually something you want than when you're constantly just getting something because you want something new.
Yeah.
So, as of now, I let go of the want of that doll. So there will only be one doll from this event. But interesting enough, I still want the tote bag.
Yeah, because it's a cute memento.
So
memento.
It doesn't matter. You're probably right either way. It's cute, okay? And as someone who has had the blessing of going to the last 3 conventions as a member, I like having the bags. Like in the pandemic one, the 2020, I was really mad because our bag was like actual paper and it wasn't plastic. I still saved it because I went ham that year. I was very proud of everything. But I love their bags. I think it's a great memory, and I love the badges.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a badge this year.
No.
There was a badge last year, but I don't think there's a badge this year. And so, like, as small as those 2 things are, they're such a beautiful thing to reflect on. Also usable, because the bag, let me tell you something. The bag from the 2019 convention, I don't really like Poppy Parker, but I gave the bag to my mother. She still uses that all the time.
I give mine to my mom as well, but ironically ended up in my room again.
Also, the reason why I don't have the 2019 bag is because I bought stuff at the 2019 convention, so I got that other bag.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I consider that my 2019 bag, and not the one that we gotta check in. So, yeah.
Yeah. I fortunately got 3 dolls from this convention because I am obviously the more hands-on creative type. I like to work with my hands. I'm really good with that. So for the dolls that I didn't completely love, I loved an idea for.
Oh, we look so closed off with both of our arms crossed off. So I just looked at his and I realized where I'm at. I'm also very comfortable. It's not the energy of like not wanting to be here. So I hope it doesn't read that way. That we both have. It's actually more comfort. So I'm just gonna, actually not do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
It's also leaving this. Sorry, I cut him off because I realized. Yeah, I'll probably were like, what's up with both of them and their arms closed off like this? Like, do they not want to? No, sorry. Continue. My bad.
This is basic Kyle over here. When I don't know what to do with my hands, I just fold them. But yeah, Tobias is coming home with me because I love the idea of him. I loved his haircut because it's one of my favorite haircuts on actual human beings. I loved that he, again, was in a dark tone. Love the dark tones with our boys. The pieces, I have different ideas for the pants. But I loved how he was styled in those promo photos. So it was a big seller for me. And then I liked Giselle because I'm an anime fan and I thought of turning her into a character from Bleach. I loved her extra stuff. And I felt like that could be great on, well, obviously a restyle. And let's see how I feel about the dress in person. I might turn that into a top and a bottom instead of just a dress. But yeah. And then the Ameline I got, I believe, was the spring 2020?
Wrong person to ask these questions.
Let me just describe her because it's easier that way. She had the dark hair and the black dress. So for me, this one got into my head and kind of pushed the thought a little bit. Because I was completely set on not caring for her until he said, that is your vibe. And then I was like, oh, she is my vibe.
So here's the thing, right? Another reason why Kyle has a lot more dolls in this convention is because Kyle actually collects all brands in general. And I'm not just speaking in Integrity Toys. I'm just like on a wide spectrum. There you go. That's the word I was.
I collect toys.
I was reaching for the word spectrum.
Yeah.
So it wasn't shocking. And when it came to the Ameline, a lot of the times he tries to like back away from things that he likes. So I usually have to drive him back in. And it's not to say he does not do the same thing to me. Okay? Just so you know.
Yeah.
It's usually one of those things where, like, we're either in a mood. I think it's because we're both water signs. So we're both really in a mood. And we're like, nah, I don't really love her. And the other person got to come in and be like, are you sure? Because what I see is. And the other great thing of the fact that we have similar but very drastic differences is that we are able to be like, nah, that one's really you. And this one's really, really me. Because this one really has this kind of aesthetic. Which also works well with our creative partnership integrity when we were talking about the other stuff.
Yeah. We won't stop hinting at that, just so you know.
So you know, putting that out there. Okay? Completely available because I'm not working.
Same.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on YouTube talking about dolls for no reason, okay? It's like an online resume, if you will. So, yeah, I am not surprised I pushed probably him to one or two of those dolls for various different reasons. And, yeah, it feels like the moment to conclude is what I will say at this time. And I will say that overall, if anything, what we took away from this event is have clarity on what you love and remember where the joy is and don't focus too much on what is not being given to you. Mm-hmm. Really be open to what you have access to get instead of what you think you're being shoved. Because I think perception is everything, and this event in particular is a tool or a lesson to allow us to see things from a different perspective. Don't think that you have to go into an event loving and needing everything, because the reality is that's not your forte in life. I'm sure you're not getting everything in life. Mm-hmm. But do try to put more energy into the things that actually bring you joy instead of focusing too much on the things that you just don't want, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Because a lot of people are expecting these dolls to change lives. That's not how it works, guys. Because personally, I've seen a lot of people be upset that they didn't get what they wanted or that it wasn't that great, and etc., which is fine. We're all allowed to have our opinions, and I will never stop you from airing yours. But again, I don't see why you'd have a problem with not spending money.
I also think that another thing to think about is, why are people so upset about something they didn't manually do?
Yeah.
And why are there so many expectations on someone else to bring your dreams to life? Like, really sit there on the thought that you are so mad that someone else did not get in your head and give you what you visualize without you actually verbally telling that person to do it for you. Or the fact that that person doesn't have access to speak to you and do exactly what you want because they have to report to someone else. I just constantly, as the years go by and as life goes on, because it's not just a community thing, it's not just adults, it's like a lot of different things where it's just like, why do you think that you have so much control over someone else's creativity when you yourself aren't jumping through hoops to do it yourself? And I think what bothers us the most about this community, because we talk about it a lot, is a lot of people in this community are creative and can actually do a lot of things, and yet spend their time blaming or bashing someone who actually has access. So, sit with that, where it's just like, where are you today mentally? Mm-hmm. Because this is supposed to be about joy, not about hate. And if you think you need to bash out, then I suggest you go find a therapist. There's a lot of ways to do that nowadays. Okay? BetterHelp, if your algorithm has you, I would love for you to sponsor me too. I might not be there with the numbers and views and stuff, but BetterHelp is out there on YouTube really with these ads. So remember that there's always a tomorrow. This isn't the end of the world. And we just really don't need to be this hateful. Yeah. And on that, we conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed our little TED Talk podcast conversation. I will be linking Kyle's Instagram below for the people that are new on this channel. And if you haven't already, leave a like, definitely leave a comment and let us know your thoughts.
Mhm.
And subscribe because
Oh, and let's not forget, sharing is caring, guys.
sharing is caring. I've been forgetting the sharing, honestly. But yeah, sharing is caring. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe because there'll be more doll conversations, honestly. I'll be styling dolls. I'll be I don't like saying unboxing because I don't really unbox them on
You
camera.
don't. Not really.
I'll be styling dolls
Yeah.
and I'll be talking ish. And there's a lot more talking ish where it came from because this. Anyways, until next time, guys.
Ish.
Adios.
Bye.